Alright, part 3 of Sherlock Holmes, chapter 1. I'm doing this recording before I start whatever case is about to happen, so I do not know what we are in for. But without further ado, my name is Mars, and let's see what they have in store for us. Let's get it. What was another memory is coming back to me. I saw someone's hand hide a key in a pocket in a closing door with a woman's silhouette behind it. The door was somewhere on the first floor, and I believe there was a mirror nearby. Oh yeah, I remember that mirror. I remember. He be doing landings like he jumped from like 10, 20 feet. Like you dropped barely an inch. He's so dramatic. Jeez.
I had a surprise for my mother. You had a shovel with you, John. I was holding an ancient Greek vase, or rather, quite a big piece of it. I remember now, we dug up the vase from Greek ruins here on Cordona and were eager to show my mother right away. For some reason, the door was closed. We knocked.
But nobody answered. We thought that she was busy.
So we left the vase and ran downstairs. I decided to gather some archaeological tools in order to take a closer look at the vase.
But then we heard something, didn't we?
Yes. It came from upstairs.
The vase was broken, shards scattered all over the floor. And your mother was standing at the door.
Indeed, John. I doubt it was her. Let me concentrate. Otto Richter was standing there, furious at us. Dr. Richter told us never to disturb my mother when the door is closed. He said she had broken the vase.
But we didn't believe him. I bet he smashed it. Her things are still here.
Presumably Mycroft never felt the need to sort through it all.
Or couldn't bring himself to.
No. He would have put it behind him and moved on. My brother is not one for sentimentality.
Look what I found. The White King is under attack. Sherry, can you save him and checkmate the opponent in one move?
This picture was drawn by my mother. I recognize her hand. There's a date on it, 8th of December, 1868. This seems a bit odd. I can recognize my mother's style, but it's far too sloppy. Dated 12th of February, 1869. It's difficult to tell what this is meant to represent. There's no date at all. Straps on the bed. Just doesn't look right. Seems this was the most frequently used medication. 1 dram dissolved in a glass of water, administered daily. Not to exceed 1 dose in 24 hours, not to be given to children.
My gentle husband. Alas, I am still yet to receive any correspondence from you. One presumes my previous letters are chasing you around the continent as you travel. I hope you are in good health and already on your way home. Forgive me my impatience, but life without your kind voice and bright eyes is scarcely worth living. The boys need their father around too. I can tell that they missed you, though as you well know, Mycroft is not one to wear his heart on his sleeve. In case my prior letters have been lost, know that we have relocated to Cordonia. Please come back soon. Forever yours, Violet, February 1869. Sherlock Holmes, the renowned archaeologist, authenticator, and historian, is dead. A mere 41 years of age, he was seized by a cardiac event during an opera at the Covent Garden Theater on Saturday. Despite a physician's best efforts, he remained insensible and died at 20 minutes past 6 o'clock last evening. His sudden end came as a severe shock to his large circle of acquaintances. Mr. Holmes is survived by his wife, Violet, and 2 sons, Mycroft, 16, and Sherlock, 6. Funeral services will be held Wednesday at the Highgate Cemetery at St. James by Reverend Stanley. Wait, this says 1865. Didn't that letter that she was addressing to her husband was in 69, or did I read that wrong?
It's a strange feeling to read about my father's death in the newspaper. I can't recall anything except the deep feeling of loss.
You were too young. It happened before we even met. It's so sad.
March 25th, 1869. Examination notes of Dr. Otto Richter. Over the past few months, I have asked Mrs. Holmes to sketch some landscapes. The first few were clear and accurate, but subsequent drawings quickly drifted away from reality. I was going to comment on that too, but it appears her disease progresses rapidly and perhaps even affects her vision. I may need to consider trepanation. Observations of Mrs. Violet Holmes, Dr. Otto Richter, May 19th, 1868. I hear another ambulance. Initial consultation revealed the patient suffers sleep problems, periods of anxiety, and sleep confusion of memories. Prescribed a strong sedative to be administered daily and will continue to monitor symptoms. August the 3rd, 1868. Sedation has helped minimize anxiety attacks, but Mrs. Holmes now experiences catatonia, apathy, and prolonged depressive states. Moreover, the patient's confusion has worsened, and she has begun writing letters to her deceased husband as if he were alive. See, I was right. Yep. Alright, thought it was just me. I thought I just read it wrong. I have prescribed 6 further drugs to balance her mental state and weekly hydrotherapy. On November 27th, 1868, the current drug regimen has delivered middling results, with confusion worsening into near constant delusion. Patient grows aggravated when these beliefs are contradicted, prompting aggressive behavior. I have now witnessed several episodes of violence against her own family and towards herself. Consequently, I ordered that bars be installed on the windows and that Mrs. Holmes be strapped to her bed at night. The dosage of all medication has been raised. I have prescribed the patient additional hypotherapy sessions, as well as some mild hallucinogens, and then he said the drawings were getting away from reality. Like what and he said, Sherlock said he never remembered her coughing, so maybe she was like a sickness of the brain. For some reason, schizophrenia is coming to mind, but I could be way off. I'm not no doctor.
My mother loved flowers. They made her smile. I remember we would bring a new bouquet every week to make her a bit happier.
That's why we collected all the violet flowers we could find on the island.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not no doctor, no psychologist. I wish they would show at least like some flashbacks of her, so I could guess it before they confirm it or something. Maybe to play chess with him. The white knight is under attack. Yeah, I heard him say that. I don't know how to play no damn chess, but let's try it. Jeez.
Sure, you saved the king, but that's no checkmate, Sherry. You're losing your touch.
I never had the touch of chess. I don't know how to play that damn thing. Let's see what we got. A 3 and a -4 blue. Okay. I was wondering what this other one is for, so it does kind of switch it. Okay, so now it's -4. Gotcha. And then but this would change it to a -3 at the end, wouldn't it? Nice try though, Mars. Okay, we get in there, but we're at -6 with that. I've been sitting here doing this damn thing way too long. I was so tempted to just skip it, but I knew I was so close to finishing it. I couldn't skip it. I had to do it on my own. And I realized just now I was doing it, and I realized all I had to do, it's so simple. So simple. So it's so simple. Oh my gosh. I need to look at look back on this recording and see how long it took me to do this. It was so simple. I just realized it too. Jeez. Y'all saw that crap I had on the screen too? I was but jeez. Identified the substance as a hallucinogen derived from mushrooms.
The broken plate shards were all over the floor. Mycroft had to change his suit as the one he was wearing was completely stained. Mother was troubled that morning. Something we did upset her. Dr. Richter tried to calm her down. We had to put the tray with Mother's morning tea down, but why? It's starting to ring a bell. I think it happened in the morning.
I don't believe you! Liars! Get away from me! It's not true! It's not real!
What? Oh.
Everything will be okay, Sherry. I promise.
It was the morning of the 9th of April, the day my mother died.
The 9th of April started off badly. My mother was anxious, then hysterical. She threw food and shouted at the doctor, calling him a liar. John and I brought her morning tea, but when the shout started, I became scared. The only thing I could think to do was hide near the bed and wait for everything to pass. Thankfully, John was there to protect me and calm me down.
My mother, she was not just ill, but had. God have mercy.
I'm sorry. That explains why you locked the memory away.
There must be more, John. That was the morning of her death. I need to know what happened.
Every time you... I just don't... Please, Sherry, leave it be.
Just breathe, John. You know that I cannot leave the last stone unturned. We are so close.
I know. But can we at least leave it for another day?
It cannot wait. Let us find another door and finally learn the truth.
That's pointless, Sherry. To date, you have had no control over the return of these memories. It is all triggered by your work elsewhere on Cordona. You must accept that this will have to wait. Are you all right?
In the end, little has changed. My mother was still unwell, just not with tuberculosis. What I do not yet understand is why Mycroft lied about it. There are precious few pieces of this puzzle remaining, John. Let us dawdle here no longer.
Indeed. Wait, did you hear that?
Yes. Metallic souls. What is this sailor doing here?
Could it be your brother? Was your brother a sailor? Now, what's his name? John was glitching out. And he said around the time his mother got something like that, that's when John came to him. So I'm assuming once we figure out everything with our family past and what happened to the mother, that he will probably disappear, because John is here merely for like unresolved. I don't know. Once he gets his answers, I'm assuming John will leave. That's what I'm taking from it. What? Who are you?
Sherlock Holmes, isn't it? I was looking for you.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
You can call me your new game. The rules are simple. I have something for you, but you alone must work out what that is.
And that something is my prize, I suppose?
You're a fast learner, sir.
I hear these stupid-ass neighbors at it again. Jeez. In shabby uniform, no signs of physical work. Painted recently. Hiding something. Okay. A sailor came to my house declaring that he has my new game. His hand showed no signs of regular physical activity, no corns or nor rough skin, but owing to the fact that he had an old, worn-out uniform on, so he was still in service. He had a drop of pink paint in his hair, which led me to believe he is somehow involved in the art sphere. Considering the tiny shapes, whatever shaped object in the sailor's pocket, I deduced the real reason behind his visit was to pass me an invitation to his exhibition. A man dressed as a sailor came to my house declaring that he has, a drop of paint in his hair that betrayed him as a man who was involved, His hands showed no signs of regular physical, blah, blah, blah. What's this? Mariners. A few artists know my name and where I live, so Vogel best fits the role of the game master. Considering the tiny blah blah blah. So his pocket, I deduced he was employed at Vogel's art. Yep. And the real reason for his visit was to pass me. Yep. Okay.
I cannot believe that Mr. Vogel has somehow successfully called my attention to his gallery. You're here with an invitation to visit it, obviously.
My word, you are fast, Mr. Holmes. Could you explain how you came to that conclusion?
Of course. Explanations are my favourite part of any conversation. Hands without any sign of regular physical activity, in contradiction to one who would most usually wear such a uniform. The paint in your hair is pink. I don't know of any military service that paints their ships pink, unless they have launched a new fashionable fleet. A sailor with the soul of an artist? I would suggest rather a gallery employee disguised as a sailor to mislead me. How many artists on the island know where I live and of my passion for deduction? Werner Vogel is clearly at the top of the list. And you've been attempting to conceal something square-shaped within your pocket. An invitation, I suppose. An invitation to Mr. Vogel's gallery.
That was remarkable, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Vogel was right about your genius. I think he may have even underestimated you. This is your invitation. Please tell Mr. Vogel that the seed has been planted. He asked me to tell you to do so, if you win this little game. Farewell.
Alright, my dear Sherlock Holmes, as you no doubt have already guessed, I would like to invite you to experience my art exhibition, not only for the purpose of the contemplation of beauty, but in a more general need of your genius. You will find the gallery at the Caravanserai, at the crossroads of Bazaar Road and Herms, in the Old City. Always your friend, VV. I'm assuming we going here, he's going to show us something, I don't know, like from our childhood, because he already had our pocket watch from our mother. Yeah, that good old pocket watch. I thought I had a pocket watch, but if I did, I can't find it. I need to get another one. Yeah, I was right. Okay, cool. Alright, put that down right there. Alright, let's head out real quick. Come on, John.
Mr. Holmes, you came. Oh, how kind. Though now, of course, I realize it is because of my game, not the works on display.
It needn't be one or the other. Your man's disguise was easily debunked, Mr. Vogel, but I shall admit that you planted in me the seed of curiosity.
Ah, terrific! I had no doubt you'd put the pieces together. Let us call it an opening gambit before the real game begins.
So, this little game of yours, what's it about?
An enigma to solve. A locked area in the basement with no windows found brutally vandalized. I have no clue how it was possible.
What about this intrusion? What happened?
Last night, I was about to leave the gallery when I heard a noise downstairs. I went to the basement, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. It was admittedly a rudimentary inspection. It is not uncommon to get rats down there, so seeing nothing of note, I left and locked up the building. When I returned this morning, alas, I discovered that part of the exhibition had been torched, and there was no sign of the intruder. The mystery being, of course, that all the doors to the gallery were locked exactly as I left them.
And the door to the basement is the only entrance?
Correct. Tell me you're not intrigued.
And this locked area downstairs, what exactly was it?
The under gallery. It's always shut, and I'm the only one with the key.
Ah, so this is your private collection, not part of the gallery.
Oh, no. It's an exclusive exhibition of eccentric pieces. Only a select cadre of artists, investors, and collectors are admitted. Not everyone deserves to have their eyes opened.
Well, this matter is certainly within my wheelhouse.
This intrusion troubles me. Please take a look around if you're willing. The under gallery is through the door at the end.
I will see what I see.
I would not be surprised if he set this up just to amuse me.
The left step's length is shorter than the right. It indicates that the walker was lame.
The walker was lame. That's one way to put it.
Ugh, sheer vandalism. Only an ignorant person could do such a thing.
I have to go into this vision for you to tell me that the frame is empty. I could see it like this.
Saturn devouring his sun. Oh, grim composition.
Unflinching in its ferocity, yet somehow
That's messed up.
beautiful.
I was wondering why my controller was vibrating. It's because of this. Alright. Let's see what we got. Let's go, John. Let's go, Johnny boy. Johnny boy, come on.
The intruder entered the basement through the coal chute. He used a magnet to open the hatch bolt. He accidentally pushed a shovel to the floor. Vogel heard the noise. At the sound of his approaching footsteps, the intruder hid inside the coffin. When Vogel entered the basement, he failed to notice anything strange and left without properly checking. The intruder waited until Vogel had left the caravanserai before burning the paintings in Wilde's room, but the vandalism was a cover for the theft.
I forgot he did say he wanted to come check after he heard some noise, but whatever. I gotta stay focused, gotta jog these down in my memory bank. Gotta keep up. Yeah, John felt sick after we recalled the morning of my mother's death. His reaction disturbed me. Or maybe John's like, he said John came after an event. So maybe, I don't know, John, like maybe like a friend of his died. Like John when he was younger, but he keeps John in his head thinking that it's just an imaginary friend, but it's really his I don't know. I don't know. He's suppressing something. My mother struggles with mental disease, which could well be hereditary and affect my mind and ration. Ooh. Okay, so he's thinking that because his mother has a mental illness, he's starting to develop the early signs of the illness because he has John around.
The pieces are not what I expected.
What do you think my collection is about?
You had that painting that of like what the guy killing his son. So it could be about oh crap. I must say these damn controllers for the PS5 they kind of die out pretty quickly. That's a downside so far with the PS5. But let me see. It's about death. It's about decay.
It's a reflection on mortality. Nothing lasts forever, no beauty sustains itself, and everything succumbs to darkness. Am I right?
I don't know.
Well, that's absurd. Of course you know. It's your gallery.
There is no one answer, no singular truth, but many filtered through the subjective mind. That forgetting, embellishing, lying machine. Besides, what's wrong with a lie if it makes life more interesting?
What's wrong with a lie? It corrupts the ability of others to behave freely and rationally.
Men never act freely and rationally anyway. It matters not what is or isn't in the end. The only important thing is how you feel. And I simply want to feel and consume as much as I can. Don't you?
Feelings are simply one's animal ancestry trying to wrest back control of the brain. I try to avoid the distraction.
You try not to feel, even in a place like this? None of it moves you?
To be frank, I struggle to maintain even a whit of interest in art.
But Mr. Holmes, it is joy incarnate, mankind's greatest achievement.
Mankind's highest achievement above all others is objective and rational thought.
I see then why you dislike art, for it means whatever you want it to.
Or perhaps, Mr. Vogel, I was lying.
Aha.
Mr. Vogel, my investigation has revealed that the intrusion was not merely vandalism, but theft. The limping visitor left your place with a canvas.
That's very impressive.
This thief was familiar with the gallery and he was sporting a limp. Do any of your clients or artists come to mind?
My, your attention to detail is remarkable, Mr. Holmes. I should introduce you to Bosch's works. Alas, I'm afraid I cannot suggest a culprit.
The fire was a clever attempt to hide a stolen painting, even if it didn't fool me. I found the remnants of an empty frame in the pile of ashes. The canvas had been removed. Do you know which paintings in the Wild Room may have interested a thief? Were any particularly expensive?
Those pieces belong to a well-known artist named Boniface Mercurio. They're controversial, but not of a notably high value.
The intruder entered the basement through the coal chute. He used a magnet to open the latch and dislodged the shovel while doing so. That's the noise you heard yesterday. When you went downstairs to investigate, he hid in the coffin.
It seems I should have checked the space more thoroughly.
There's something more, is there not? I can see it in your eyes.
Indeed. There is another intriguing angle. I recently received an anonymous offer for one of Mercurio's works. The sum was more than fair, and indeed could have saved Mercurio from his artistic poverty. But he declined it.
Was it a performative whim? Some artists lionize pain and hardship as if their work would be worse after a meal and a hot bath.
I cannot tell. But not only did he refuse the deal, he insisted on displaying the painting in the public space. I was hoping to change his mind, but artists are a special breed of stubborn.
What was depicted in the piece?
A bound woman, wrapped in robes, being penetrated by a red devil that stared at us, the viewer. The beast had numerous tails growing from his back, and a large crowd gathered around the pair, silently watching the orgiastic scene.
Okay, well, given the nature of the other works on display, it's hard to see why that one stood out. What could possibly be its value?
The evaluation of art is very subjective, Mr. Holmes. After all, art is everything. A poem, a bruise, the beads of sweat on your beloved skin. Even a masterfully solved crime.
I'm not sure I see the connection.
Regardless, the painting was one of a series called The Sabbath Night in Cordona. The works depict sex, violence, and other controversial acts that life, for better or worse, contains.
Ah, I see.
I'm not sure that you do, but that can wait for another time.
So where can I find Boniface Mercurio?
I know he lives somewhere in Old City, but couldn't be more specific. He's a prominent figure, so finding him shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I believe I have enough to begin. Thank you, Mr. Vogel. Your gallery certainly has unexpected depths.
I'm delighted to have been able to please a friend. In return, I expect you to come back with good news. Or at least with a good story.
Mr. Holmes, I have something for you. Mr. Holmes, I see what you're up to. Mysterious stranger pursues betrothed woman. But please, let us keep things professional. I have in my possession an envelope containing details of a special assignment for you. Tell me, are you interested?
I believe I am, but to be very clear, Miss Sertle, my interest extends to the message and not the messenger.
So he claims he's not a gal sneaker, seducing women everywhere he goes. Perhaps the truth is even more scandalous?
Please spare me the speculation and return to the matter at hand.
A gang of smugglers, the Eels, have Cordona in their clammy grip. The British Empire can abide it no longer. Mycroft insists they be disbanded. But this organization only falls with the capture of their odious leader, Friedrich Panzer. And note well, I did say capture, not kill. Inside your envelope is a map marked with the Eels' warehouses. But alas, we do not know in which Friedrich Panzer resides.
So even Mycroft has his limits.
Indeed. You must be sure to identify the correct warehouse before entering, because once one is compromised, the other's occupants will scatter. Here are all the files, and feel free to use the archive too. Again, do not enter the wrong location, nor see any harm done to Friedrich Panzer.
Miss Sertle, if you're quite done with the redundant instructions, I shall get to work.
Well, that's perfect. Tortured hero lashes out after rejected romance. Tomorrow's edition will be a sensation.
Found something. Alright, the brawl at artist sellout. The past week has brought us a new scandal regarding the local so-called artistic higher society. It all began at the painting sellout named by local artists as the Dance of Decadence. The director of a publishing house, the Lion, Darren Turwick, broke the idol by throwing a chair at a decadent artist, Boniface Mercurio. As Mr. Turwick said later, he did it because Mr. Mercurio brought dishonor to his name. The column writer graciously reminds the reader that recently Mr. Mercurio was spotted with Mrs. Turwick at a coffee shop. What's a coffee shop? It's not much to... You need more evidence than that. Afterwards, an orchestra conductor, Kurt Gallagher, there's the neighbors are, oh my gosh, smashed a painting across Mr. Turwick's head to protect his friend Mercurio. A large brawl started, including a large number of the customers. After a protracted fight, the police arrived. All the high society brawlers were arrested and placed under guard for a week. What a breathtaking event it was. As your loyal personal advisor, I suggest that you obtain a souvenir from the sellout. Unfortunately, it has since ended, but Boniface himself invites our readers to visit his home and purchase one of his paintings. You will find him at the address Herms Avenue between Scarlet and Olive Street. At the address, you ain't giving me an address, you just giving me streets. Give me a full-on address, the numbers and everything. Jeez, even the area code. That's crazy. They put all your information out in the newspapers, and then that's I can't. Okay. He lives on Hearns Avenue between Scarlet Street and Olive Street in Old City. Gotcha. And I'm not sure if what she just told me was like a side mission, but if it is, I really do not care. And I don't plan on going on those little excursions that she's talking about. I thought she was pregnant for a second, but apparently not. Oh, look at her little outfit. It's cute though. What's in the basket though? Probably some food. Oh, I thought construction was going on. That's what threw me off. Alright.
Excuse me, young man. Where do you think you're going?
Greetings, Mum. I'm looking for the...
I don't care who you're looking for. You shall not pass. No visitors allowed.
I wish to buy a painting from Mr. Boniface Mercurio. Is he at...
Dearie, tell me, because old age has made me blind. Did someone write Information Bureau on my forehead? Because I'm not here to answer your questions. Entry is for residents only. If you aren't a resident, please leave, or I shall report you to the police.
Well, then they better update the newspaper or whatever, because y'all allowing people to come here to purchase paintings, and you have this hostile ass lady over here. Friendly my ass. Can I go this way? Nope, damn it. You hear them? I don't want to keep complaining about them, but I swear, these little bastards. I didn't realize I needed to change my outfit, so my bad. Let me do that right now. Where can I, because sometimes they won't let me change my outfit, so I guess I can't change it out in the open, but at the same time, it's not like I have an apartment to go to and get changed. Can I change here?
No visitors allowed.
Yeah, this game was definitely made during quarantine, you know. At least these last elements like this damn mask.
No visitors allowed. No visitors allowed.
Alright, I try to get it as close as I can to the photo. This is as good as it gets. If this lady say no, or she say no more, no visitors allowed, I swear. Oh, I think she's gonna say, oh no, damn it.
Boniface, sweetie. Is that you? Ah, old age does terrible things to one's sight. I didn't recognize you at first.
How are you, Mum? I'm ashamed to admit that I've lost my key. Do you have a spare?
For heaven's sake, how many times will you lose that key of yours? Of course I have a spare. You artists all live in your own little world.
Please, accept my thanks.
I would rather accept your rent. You promised to pay me several weeks ago and I'm still waiting.
I will pay you, I promise, very soon.
You'd better do, my dear. Or else I'll just change the lock. And I won't fall for those cow eyes.
Noise outside my window again. But alright, we did it. Alright, cool. Can I go here now? She didn't know that he was here? Why she didn't check her dim? Forget it. Standing downstairs, you guarding the front door, you forget it.
I've heard of this style of painting. It is called expressionism.
That's cool. That's cool. Oh, is this? Oh.
Red skin, tails on the back. Reminds me of Werder's description of the stolen painting.
Is this his dark room? Speaking of dark rooms, we had played that game, Martha is Dead. That was a pretty cool experience. And at the end of that walkthrough, I said I wanted to try to buy or at least find the vintage like camera or cord or something like that. It's not easy to find, man. Jeez. I found something similar to it. And they'd be selling it on like eBay and Etsy stuff. I don't like a site that I don't really buy from, so I'm kind of skeptical, especially if you're trying to spend that much money. They'll range from like maybe like a lot of them for whatever reasons like over like $300. A few's like 100 and some close to 200, but
the photograph was not pulled out in time. Such a waste of material.
look, you could still make out something. You can't take it out. Oh yeah, we was developing in that game. That was so fun. I don't know why. It was simple, but it was fun.
Look at this, John. Isn't it our stolen demon?
The people look super realistic in this.
Judging by post-mortem rigidity, the body lay here for 1 or 2 days.
People slamming doors. I can't stand this place no more. Jeez. Be getting on my nerves. Does this landlady live in this building as well? She didn't hear anything 2 days ago. She didn't see him come in and not leave for 2 days. But I must say he does have a nice little place to himself. It's nice for one person. Wait, so he's in here. You could clearly see him from the, can't you? From the door? Yeah. But you sneak in, you go directly to search, and you don't search the whole forget it. Whoever this idiot is stupid. Wait, now I'm thinking about it, where's the kitchen?
Mercurio was developing photographs when the intruder snuck in. Mercurio heard him coming. While the thief was searching the chest, the painter ran towards him with a bottle in his hand. He smashed it across the thief's head. The intruder had no choice but to defend himself, and the weapon of opportunity happened to be a kitchen knife. Mercurio stepped aside to grab the painting, but the wine-blinded thief attacked Mercurio's throat. When the thief came to his senses, he saw Mercurio bleeding on the floor. He grabbed the rags and tried to bandage him, but it was too late. Why did Mercurio attempt to snatch the painting in the middle of a fight? To strike the intruder? Not with his painting, it was too important to him.
It was in the middle of developing photos when an intruder snuck in. The intruder had no choice but to defend himself. Why did Mercurio want to grab the painting in the middle of a fight? Because the intruder was there to take that painting back. Alright, I don't know what they're doing outside, but there's like a van in front of my window. Like on the lawn in front of my window. And you could probably hear it running, so if you do, I apologize. I live around a bunch of idiots. But let's do our chemical analysis. Hopefully it won't take me too long to figure out. I did some editing for the first part, and that part took me. I don't know what I was thinking too. I was just thinking that we had to use a little bit more than usual instead of the little reagents that we did use. I was just making it too more complicated than it needed to be. So let's do better. All right, so we have a 4, 3, 4. Okay, no negatives. Good. Cause that's definitely what messed me up too. That was the first, I think, negative thing we had to do as far as chemical analysis. Okay, so with this one, this chemical operation, for whatever reason, it just goes up 1 for whatever you have. So right here, if you add all this up, it'll be 4, 3, 3, but it'll add 1 over here. Okay, I see. All right. Yeah. You ain't gonna trick me this time. Alright, that didn't take me too long. Especially compared to last time. I managed to erase the blood by using chemicals. It's a still life painting of Mercurio's room. We could have noticed that. Forget it.
That doesn't look like the painting we need, Sherry.
As expected, but that doesn't mean it won't tell us anything. Let's put it on the easel where it belongs. I guess this is his most ordinary painting. Spot the two differences, John? If the intruder didn't take it, the skull should be somewhere here. Monster was actually a man. Poor girl. John, you ought to be thrilled. We are now hunting the devil himself.
What were you saying, Sherry? I was too busy sketching the scene, you know, crimes and such like, daily routine. Did you find something?
A photograph. It depicts a man in a red suit with tails sprouting from his back and multiple people in masks watching the scene. It all adds up. But the act of love, it wasn't given willingly, John. It was a violation. And the girl, she was with child.
Give that to me now. Did you recognize someone?
No. Although the victim is not from Cordona, she is African. Look at the ritual scars on her face.
Get that image out of your brain. You have to continue the investigation.
I must speak to the landlady. Perhaps she saw or heard something.
Sherry, you cannot tell her the truth about Mercurio. It will hurt her.
John, that's illogical. Sooner or later, she will come here and discover a corpse, and I still need to talk to her.
Just avoid mentioning corpse, all right? Stick to the character, tell her to call the police.
I'll take that into account.
And wait here. I've redrawn the people in the photograph. Now you can proceed with your investigation without those horrific details.
I get it, it's a bad photo, but why can't we see it? I need to see it for my investigation, okay? There was a stash behind the skull where Mercurio kept a photo of an African woman being violated by a man dressed as a demon. Oh, we gonna get to you, son of a bitch. John photograph of the violation that I found out. In this painting, he depicts a pregnant woman with tribal scars on her face.
What's wrong, dear? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Can you tell me if anyone else has recently entered the flat?
Oh, you're talking about that limping man. I'm sorry I let him in. I was scared. And I thought maybe he would motivate you to find money so that you would pay your rent. No offense, dear.
Can you describe him?
Oh, so you weren't at home. I was so certain you didn't leave your flat that day. He was of average height, had a limp and a tattoo on his neck, and he was smoking Malpal cigarettes. My husband used to smoke those. They have a horrible smell I can recognize from a mile away.
But that is kind of weird, because if I do tell her, then she's gonna question who I am, and that's understandable. But if I tell her to call the police, then the police get there and they go to my flat and they see that I'm dead, then she's probably gonna assume that I still killed him. Either way, like, who's the guy impersonating Mercury? Oh, forget it, whatever.
Can I ask a favor?
Of course, dearie.
Please call the police and ask them to enter the flat. And don't look inside until they come up.
What? What trouble have you stepped in this time?
It really doesn't matter. Thank you, Mum.
You're acting so strange today, dear. I hope someday you'll let me inside that head of yours.
Whew, Sherry, that was close. But you did everything correctly. Now, take off your outfit. I can't let you walk around in a dead man's clothes.
Could at least remove all this stuff on my damn face. I look ridiculous. Hold on. Alright, let's do it. Corona. Stay 6 feet, people. Don't come near me. Do not come near me. What do you have? Do you have like a pepper spray or anything? Probably not. Whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to see if y'all could still hear the engine outside. Because they're still on the lawn. I don't know what they're doing, if they're doing maintenance downstairs or something, but of course there's always some trying to interfere with my damn live commentary when I'm recording. But any other time when I'm not recording, it's quiet as a mouse. Well, if you exclude the neighbors sometimes. The thief was at Mercurio's flat to steal the photograph, but found Mercurio instead and killed him in self-defense. So what? Okay, so Mercurio was the one who painted that devil thing that was stolen from Vogel's place. So was he like trying to subtly put out that something's weird going on, and then the person who did that to the lady found out, and he went, or maybe Mercurio was there when it happened. Then he decided to paint it and then put it out for people to kind of catch the hint, I guess, and I don't know, subtly try to put the person on blast, I guess. I don't know. And then the person found out and tried to kill him. I don't know. We're gonna see. I don't know.
May I ask for your assistance?
Oh, I've heard talk.
Jeez, you have to get the right outfit and talk. At least find somebody who's black in the game and ask them. Alright, whatever. John's rejoined. Okay, the scars on the girl's face seem to be from Iwi's ethnic group tribe. The only place where you could find Iwi's people in Cordonia is the refugee camp located under Victoria Bridge between Scaladia and Silverton. Alright, they slamming doors and shit, so they should be leaving right now from off the lawn, from in front of my window. Alright. Now what I say? Located on the Victoria Bridge between Scaladia and Silverton. Thank you, little girl. Thank you. Drinking Dutchman. This is definitely giving me Sinking City vibes right about now. A sailor was found drowned on the beach by the cemetery. People are talking about sirens, but that's just superstition, or is it? I don't care about the sailors. I'm trying to get. Let me go back this way. Yeah, I gotta get under. How do I get under? Oh, wait. Oh, there you go.
Beasts!
Yeah, under the bridge.
Help me, please.
A lady doesn't know about such things.
Don't tell me the pregnant lady's dead now. Oh, I heard this case may have about 30 cases.
They're completely...
I said this game has about 30 cases. But I'm not sure how many of those are main story cases and whatnot. Who are you? What's up?
Sir, this place is off limits to the public. Please state your business or leave, or I shall request that the police escort you out.
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for a witness for a case.
A private investigator? Really? Even so, you're not authorized. I can't let you...
And you are?
I'm Ronald Harlow, here to handle the refugee situation on behalf of City Hall. I'm the acting supervisor here, so I have full authority here to ask you to leave, or I shall order the police to detain you for trying to pass the blockade. Please, step back.
Leave shoes. Alright, the depressed young clerk, exhausted by his day-to-day job, City Hall has assigned him to oversee the refugee camp, but he is too tired and indifferent to solve the problems that arise. He has a scant mustache, which he thinks makes him look older. Pale skin and bags under his eyes suggest that he is tired of his dark, cramped office, which he rarely leaves, yet judging by his clean and barely worn shoes, he does not favor the outdoors. In any case, sweaty palms suggest that around all the stress, he might have worn fewer clothes, considering today's weather. And the pale young clerk who tries his best to oversee him, assigned to him. He is not very happy with such a responsibility, but he always does things by the book and executes all tasks he is given. However, he lacks the experience to deal with problems outside his writing desk. He is tempting to look older than his years by growing a scant mustache. Pale skin and suggests he works at a poorly lit office, which he rarely leaves. Judging by his clean and barely worn clothes, he craves to look authoritative by wearing smart clothes, but his look is out of place considering. Okay, sweaty palms suggest around all the extreme stress by being outside his comfort zone. Okay.
What about the murder that this crowd keeps shouting about?
It's mere assumption. I assure you that the situation is under the police's control.
I know you want to deal with this in the right way. You are obviously a professional and a responsible person, but you clearly have never handled a situation like this.
I am handling it, Mr. Holmes. Don't question my capability here.
And tell me how you do it. You can't even calm this gathered crowd, and as for the police, they're not quite managing it either. You consider yourself a problem solver, but until today, you've been solving problems sitting at your desk in a dark corner of a city hall. Here, you need a more practical approach.
What are you driving at, Mr. Holmes?
Why does he keep cutting him off right when he's about to finish his sentence? That's weird. Oh my gosh. I need to find my witness. I can help you.
I can help you to handle the situation if you're truly interested in solving things quickly and quietly.
And how exactly would you manage that?
Simply tell the police that I'm with City Hall and I'm permitted to investigate the scene. I'll work out but in return, I need your help finding my witness. She's a young refugee. She's with child or was with child.
Look, there is indeed a dead body inside the camp. So even if the girl you are looking for is there, all the refugees are now being detained and interrogated by the police. They won't allow you to speak with her, and I can't do anything about that until the situation settles down.
So it's in our mutual interest to settle.
Oh. I suppose that things are bad enough that I ought not shy away from help. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell the police to allow you to come. Just tell me when you're ready.
I don't know why it keeps doing that all of a sudden. It keeps cutting off right at the end of the sentence. Let them finish. I probably have to start the game over. I don't know. Now that the refugees get here, I'm ready to go in.
Mr. Harlow,
What
are your responsibilities?
What I do and what I am responsible for are two different realities, Mr. Holmes. On paper, I am in charge of the camp territory, security, provision, and the refugees in general. What I actually do most of the time is knock on every City Hall door trying to obtain some funding, or at least rations for the camp.
The police here on City Hall's behalf too?
They are, minus those who came here after the body was found. The governor won't let the refugees disperse into the island, so there's a significant police presence guard. Naturally, they answer directly to the police. I have some influence here, but I'm not their direct authority.
How they were cutting off at the end of a sentence, which irritated me. So I started over and I picked a different profile for this guy. So whatever.
I can help you to handle the situation if you're truly interested in solving things quickly and quietly.
And how exactly would you manage that?
Simply tell the police that I'm with City Hall and I'm permitted to investigate the scene. I'll work out the rest, but in return I need your help finding my witness. She's a young refugee. She's with child or was with child recently.
Look, there is indeed a dead body inside the camp. So even if the girl you are looking for is there, all the refugees are now being detained and interrogated by the police. They won't allow you to speak with her, and I can't do anything about that until the situation settles down.
So it's in our mutual interest to settle it.
Oh. I suppose that things are bad enough that I ought not shy away from help. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell the police to allow you to come inside. Just tell me when you're ready.
Mr. Harlow, what exactly do you do here? What are your responsibilities?
What I do, and what I am responsible for, are two different realities, Mr. Holmes. On paper, I am in charge of the camp territory, security, provision, and the refugees in general. What I actually do most of the time is knock on every City Hall door trying to obtain some funding, or at least rations for the camp.
The police here on City Hall's behalf too?
They are, minus those who came here after the body was found. The governor won't let the refugees disperse into the island, so there's a significant police presence guarding the camp. Naturally, they answer directly to the police. I have some influence here, but I'm not their direct authority.
Mr. Harlow, how did the refugees end up here exactly?
Oh, so you're not from around here yourself?
I've been away for some time, but I read the papers.
Yes, this whole story has been in the papers for almost a year now. They were smuggled to Cordona on a ship from Africa.
Smuggled? Then why didn't you deport them?
The smugglers managed to sneak them to shore and hide them inside an abandoned warehouse. When the police raided the warehouse and found the refugees there, the ship was already gone. We aren't even certain as to which ship it was. We have busy shipping routes with other colonies these days, you see.
So you decided to lock them up under a bridge?
There was no other option. We're still trying to work out what to do with them. I only hope we'll find a humane solution and not put them on a raft and float them out to sea.
I'm ready to take a look at the scene.
All right. Go inside the camp and find Inspector Tewkesbury. He's the officer investigating the scene. Tell him I sent you. Say you're an independent expert from City Hall. He'll fill in the details for you.
I'll find my way with words. Thank you, Mr. Harlow.
So they keep these refugees under a bridge like proverbial trolls. No wonder the people outside are so disturbed.
Who the hell are you? How did you get in here?
Mr. Ronald Harlow let me in, sir. I'm Sherlock Holmes, a surveyor of refugee affairs with City Hall. You're Inspector Tewkesbury, I presume?
A surveyor? What does that even mean?
In short, I've been sent to conduct an extensive report on the incident for the Colonial Office and to assess all the damage inflicted on state property.
Got it. Another paperworm sent to count money and get food for archive mold. Go on, look around, but don't make yourself too at home. As if I didn't have enough problems before you appeared.
Could you first tell me what happened here?
What happened? People from the bridge above the camp heard a woman screaming and saw a mass of refugees attacking a man. Clearly not a refugee. When the camp guards came by, the man was floating in the sewage canal with a knife in his chest. Bam. A murder. Big news for Cordona.
I'm sure. Thank you, Inspector. And none of the refugees were harmed?
One fellow was cut. He's lying over there near their kitchen. He's in a bad way.
You mentioned a woman screaming who attracted the bypassers on the bridge. Was she harmed?
No, she's all right, but perhaps the whole debacle started because of her. She started wailing and the refugees stood up for the girl.
And where is this young woman now?
Back there in the shacks, same as the rest of the refugees. She's been questioned by my men, but she's just some refugee girl. Can't understand much English.
Did you learn anything about the dead man?
The fellow looks like a thug. I've had dozens like him fished out of the sea over the past 20 years. Ever since these refugees arrived, there have been people on Cordona with bad blood in them. My best bet is that this thug had something against them too.
And no clue as to his identity?
He had some items on his body, but nothing to indicate who he was or where he was from.
I think I should catalogue his possessions in my records.
Go on. They're on the table near the body.
Do you have any suspects yet?
You're joking, right? I've got a whole camp full of suspects. And if you ask me, this bloke had it coming. Better bury him and forget about the whole thing. And now there's a crowd gathered at the camp, and my superiors say we must thoroughly interrogate the refugees, at least those who can understand any English.
Do you believe that your superiors wish to get rid of the refugees?
I think that both our superiors would rather keep the story quiet. Since that's an unaffordable luxury now, they're looking how to protect their public image. That's why I have to waste my time waiting for my people to turn every stone and befriend every refugee.
Here we go again. Number of hours on Cordona before stumbling upon another dead body? 0.
If they find out about the passage, everything will go to...
What's going on at the refugee camp? Police officers are worried that the situation with the dead body will put the camp into strict lockdown and they will lose the money flow they were earning from their scheme.
Nobody will know anything if you keep your bloody mouth shut.
The coppers smell fishy here, Sherry. Sherry, just look at this. Living quarters in a sewer. What kind of a genius bureaucrat came up with this idea?
A steel dirk, sharp. A common accessory among sailors and soldiers. I'd say the blade penetrated upward, however the wound is too messy to be certain. An interesting tattoo. Does it mean something? Heavy boots, with one sole far more worn than the other. This man was limping, John. A violent death. But this man, limping. Coal dust. I think we're onto something here, John.
Okay, there's a wounded refugee in the camp. He looks in a bad way. The cut on his chest is deep and bleeding. He is feverish and dehydrated. The man will certainly die of infection if his wound is not treated. Let's see what I can do in the camp. I must concentrate on finding something to clean the wound, to disinfect it, to use as a bandage. Jean suggests we could learn more about this matter by asking around the camp. But we should do this before we leave the camp for good. The place might be put into lockdown. Upon examining the body, I found the man was stabbed by a navy dirk. The blade penetrated upward. However, the stab wound in the chest is lacerated as if the dirk was moved around while still in the chest cavity. Damn. The shoe sole on the left foot is more worn than the right. The man must have been limping. There is coal dust under his fingernails. A distinct tattoo on his neck. Among the dead man's possessions are 1,000 British pounds, a cigarette case which still has several Marlboro cigarettes in it, a sheath for a blade, such as a knife or a dirk. So he probably brought the knife that was pretty much in his chest. This water I obtained from the cauldron is clean enough. I have collected everything I need. It remains only to grind the leaves. Alright, so chemical analysis. Let's get it. Let's save this refugee who probably saved that girl being attacked from that white man.
Thank you.
This should make you feel better, my friend. Now remain lying down and drink as much water as you can.
Well done, Sherry. At least he won't die from the infection.
So how quick he got up? Damn. Giving them healing potions over here. Now what else am I supposed to do?
A single Malpal butt. Roadman cigarettes. A brand highly regarded by law enforcement officers. So there wasn't any sophisticated infiltration plan. The good old police just let the man into the camp. Now we have everything we need to get the full picture of what happened at the camp.
Police. Police, police, police. Oh my gosh.
So we have a thug who came to take a refugee woman with him. She resisted, but he dragged her by force. One of the refugees stood in his way, armed with a stick, yet he could do nothing against a cutthroat with a blade. The man didn't anticipate that the other refugees would intervene and stand against him. In the confusion, the woman managed to break free. The thug took fright and fled. He was stopped by the falling crates. He stumbled and fell, piercing his chest with his own blade. However, the wound didn't cause instant death. He managed to stand, but still bleeding, he lost his balance on the bridge and fell. Before all of this, the man had freely entered the camp through the main entrance. The police admitted him after they had a short smoke together.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. In our man's case, it's the same sword.
Inspector, I believe I can aid your investigation. I know who the dead man is and what really happened here.
You do? Well, good for you. But I'm afraid I'm not the one you need to share your findings with. Speak to Mr. Harlow here. He's the one responsible for settling things in the camp.
You don't even care to listen?
Oh, I do care. And maybe even more than I need to. But I'm only here today to lock the place up, question witnesses, and file the facts. It's sad, but coming up with conclusions is not among my tasks here. You fellows at City Hall do that. Anyway, speak to the supervisor. I'll just stand by and listen to what you have to say.
Mr. Harlow, your refugees didn't murder anyone.
What? Pray tell me what you've learned.
All right, listen carefully. This might solve one problem for you, but will create a few more.
Oh, well, that's a great start.
The man came to the camp intending to kidnap one of your refugees, a woman. What he didn't expect was that the refugees would stand up to protect the woman. A brawl had broken out. In the chaos of it, the man stumbled over those crates and fell on his own blade.
How do you know he fell on his own blade?
The wound in his chest was inflicted from an unusual angle. It was not an offensive stab, shall we say. The refugees didn't touch him. And judging by the blood at the scene, the intruder managed to raise himself but was unable to walk very far. He ultimately fell into the canal.
But how did he sneak into the camp? Why didn't the police see him?
And this is where your new problems emerge, Mr. Harlow.
What do you mean?
You're not a dull-witted man. You know what I mean. There is no feasible way to get into the camp without the police guards knowing of it.
The pile of mess I had to sort out has just become bigger, but somehow that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, I thank you for your help, Mr. Holmes. I'll take it from here. Meanwhile, I'll make sure the police aren't detaining the refugees any longer. You can go back in and look for your witness.
You think one small clerk can make any difference in this place?
Who knows, John? Just one ill-fitting cog could make the whole machine crumble.
Inspector says he can't do anything with my conclusions. I need to talk with the camp supervisor. Okay, yeah, he was useless. Okay.
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, you do. Alright, let me see.
Help me, please.
They often take us from the camps to work. Most don't mind, though. It's the only way we get a glimpse of freedom.
What's going on at the refugee camp? According to the refugees, some shady people regularly visit the camp and take refugees away with them to perform various work. The work is usually hard, but the refugees receive money and food. The girl was abused after she was supposedly taken to such work. Since then, the refugees decided not to allow their women to be taken. Good for the refugee men.
Ring
Good.
in the camp.
Protect the women.
Wasn't the first time that someone freely entered the camp to take a refugee out.
At least it was certainly his last time. My gut tells me that we'll learn more about this ring when we find out where the thug came from.
Yeah, but that doesn't surprise me. Once he said that they take him out for work, I assume that's what they did with that refugee girl, that pregnant girl. Pretending like they were going to take her to go work, make some money or something, and then they did whatever they did in that photo that we couldn't see. But good, the refugee men didn't want to let the women out, especially with these cops. Good for the men, refugee men. Good. Protect your woman. I didn't realize it showed us the time. Like above, like the left side, like my stories above that, it says 1915.
You're the one who tended to our man's wounds. I thank you greatly. The police didn't allow us to help him.
The police will leave you alone now. I've proven to them that the man who came into the camp died due to his own foolishness.
Thank you for standing up for us. But nobody would help us without a reason. You're here because you want something.
Yes, I do. I need to speak with the girl drawn here.
The dead man came for her too. He wanted to take the girl away, but we won't allow her to be hurt again. What do you want from Nayla?
Nayla. She was hurt some time ago. I'm here to find the people who did this and bring them to justice. And to find them, I need Nayla's help. Will you let me speak to her?
Justice. There's no justice on this land. But you helped us, so maybe your words are not empty. You can speak to Nayla, if she wants it. But I will be watching you.
Hello, Nayla? My name is Sherlock. I know someone hurt you. I am here to help. I'm trying to find the people involved and bring them to justice. Please. There is a photograph, and I'm sorry, it is terrible, but I simply must ask. Where did this happen? What can you tell me about these people? Christ, Sherlock. Nayla, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this.
You come here for me, but you are rude and cruel and condescending. A cross. The man had this cross. Now go away. Leave us be. I do not need another white man's help.
Oh, glad that wasn't me.
Not my best work, John, by a long shot. Nayla doesn't want us meddling. I'm starting to wonder what this all achieves.
But she helped you anyway. Now we know that maniac's face and the cross he wore, we can still catch him.
When we come back in Nayla, I'm gonna tell you we got him, alright? I'm doing this for you. And I think she ain't pregnant no more, so she had the baby. I got you, Nayla. I got you. I'm gonna cut that part out. What am I still missing here? What the hell? Badges such as these are usually awarded to high-ranking officials. The follower from the photograph might be one. High-ranking officials. You son of a... Oh, she drew on it. On his photo. Okay. Badges like this are usually awarded to British high-ranking officials.
The intruder has a most peculiar tattoo on his neck, 2 lines and a point. Do you know anything about it?
You really want to know, kid? Why? You want to play a policeman or something?
I'm sure you have it in your records, so it won't hurt if I have it in mine.
In my records, it's just a tattoo, as it should be in yours. Ah, to hell with you. Suit yourself as to what you're going to do with it. Off the record, though, such tattoos are often connected to a man named Mr. Niccolo Bernadotti.
Bernadotti, you say?
A respectable businessman in Scalario. His company imports goods and wines, and smuggles everything that can be smuggled between the colonies and the mainland. His people can be identified by an obscure tattoo, just like the one over there our friend has. But these are all merely rumors, you see. If Mr. Bernadotti was a criminal, he'd be in prison now. Or hanged, right?
I really don't like this damn inspector. That just annoying. Get to the damn point. If I ask you a question, then just answer it instead of going through a long ass lecture. Damn.
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, you do. Now, let me see. Nice. Bernadotti Company, established 1873. Main office, southeastern Scalario, Bazaar Road, near the crossing with Roman. Bernadotti Company ships goods between African British colonies and the rest of the UK, including Cordonia. Imported products include food, wine, coffee, everyday goods, and more. What's the more? The founder of the company is Mr. Niccolo Bernadotti, born in Sicilia, Italy. Mr. Bernadotti moved to London as a 39-year-old businessman. Later the same year, he moved his base of operations to Cordonia, in his words, to be closer to the colonies he has business in. Whatever, later the has business in, to be closer to the colonies. Okay. Since Mr. Bernadoti's arrival in Cordonia in 1873, he has become a notable patron of arts and an investor in Cordonia's social well-being. Among his latest contributions to the purchasing of new equipment for the police station. What? He has them in their pocket, of course. Airship called Led Zeppelin across from Germany. Is that what we kept seeing in the sky? I think I commented on it earlier. I kept calling it, what was it? I kept saying an air balloon or something. Oh wow, I found it. I was just trying. Thomas Norton, born 1840 in London, graduated from the University of Oxford in 1864. In 1969, he started working at the Home Office as a secretary. In 1975, took a position as a military commissioner in India, honored by the Queen herself with the Order of the Bath. In 1977, in 1978, was appointed as a British envoy in Cordonia with his own cabinet in the City Hall. I'll have to go around. Another crime scene in the back? Like, with, what's his name, that damn elephant?
Can I ask you a question?
The less you know, the safer you are. You'd better get back to work.
His voice don't match. Okay.
I'm here to discuss business with Mr. Bernadotti. I tried the front door, but...
Mr. Bernadotti isn't seeing anyone. You have 3 seconds to walk away or you'll never walk again. Capito?
It's in Mr. Bernadotti's best interest to...
1.
I think we're gonna have to fight. Either way, I'm okay with it. One of your people is dead. I might see that as a threat, though. But either way, I'm ready to fight. Let's go.
Listen, the man Bernadotti sent to...
So...
Let's get it.
I did try to resolve this peacefully.
Thought the people outside would attack me, but apparently not. Shot.
I'm coming.
Take a rest, my friend.
Yeah. Come here, boy.
Too simple.
Who else want it? Uh-oh. Oh, I'm rolling right into him. Oh my gosh.
The snuff's ready.
Watch out. Okay, Z, I got it. Get him.
Moving. You've lost.
Nice, 2-on-1.
Pepper snuff.
Don't cry.
You don't know which door they be gonna come in through, so I don't. Y'all. Watch out. How come they faster than me? Hold up. Oh, there you go. Never mind. Let me get this dude over here with the goddamn gun. Be getting on my nerves. Man, now they jumping me? Hold up. Go, boy, go. He finna shoot me, hold up. He finna shoot me. Yeah.
Give him the pepper snuff.
Masks, traditional for the Chokwe people of Central Africa. A Dogon statue from West Africa. A century old at least. This is what lies behind the facade of Bernadotti Company Limited. Let's see what's hidden there. Vogel's stolen painting. Isn't it curious how it developed into a much more interesting case?
Don't come any closer. One step and I'll shred you to pieces.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Righto. Yes. Yep. Well, excuse me, sir. I think I hear... I've got to... It's better I leave.
Whoa. Oh, wow. That was as if somebody put my words in your mouth.
Yeah, that is the damn thing that's in the sky outside. Yep. Now, who's that guy? How he gonna tell me to no step closer? I'm a who is even that? And then you got the nerve to run, boy. And all the options were pretty much confrontational too. So that's Sherlock wasn't even worried. Come on, man. Yeah, and dirty fingernails too. You see that? Ugh. See, it's showing that on his left hand. But last time we did like a portrait or an evaluation on somebody else in this game, like a episode ago. I think it was last episode, and we was analyzing his right hand, and it said he was unmarried. So which is it? Had me thinking during that time that the wedding ring hand finger was on the right hand for a little bit. Then they switched it over to the left hand, but apparently not. Alright, whatever. There's a cruel gang leader who wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty to show off his position of power. Hard worker in his youth, grew hatred towards the world around him. He continually expects trouble and is always ready to make some. Raised in a poor family, he had to work in the fields from a young age. This led to his suffering, the effects of which still show on his skin. He refuses to hide under fancy clothes. Remember where his motives and identity were born. And his men have different tattoos in the same style. Tattoos are most probably a code that represents different ranks between a tightly constructed and secretive criminal organization. And despite being financially comfortable now, he still distanced himself from the high life, keeping his clothes and appearance quite conservative. Bernardi, his men have different tattoos in the same style. Tattoos are probably colors.
Niccolo Bernadotti, I presume? The name is Sherlock Holmes, and I'm afraid I bring bad tidings.
Is that so?
The man you sent to the refugee camp failed in his task. He impaled himself on his own blade. Clumsy and chaotic end.
For a man who just broke onto my property, you are more businessman than brute. You have my attention, Mr. Holmes. Do not waste it.
Mr. Bernadotti, do you know the name Boniface Mercurio?
I do not.
Mercurio was a local artist. Recently, a man broke into his apartment, ransacked the place, and killed him. The thief was looking for something.
You are testing my patience, boy.
In a moment, the connection will reveal itself. I was hired, privately, to investigate the recent theft of a painting from an art gallery. My investigation led me to a man from your organization, and thus, to you, Mr. Bernadotti.
That is quite a stretch. Why would I need to steal a painting when I could buy anyone I wanted?
Interestingly enough, I spotted the stolen painting in your storeroom.
I buy and sell a lot of things, Mr. Holmes. Unfortunately, if this is true, it is not the first time I have been sold stolen merchandise. I presume you were hired by the owner of the gallery. Tell them to contact me, and we'll sort out the situation. So, this painting is why you broke into my office.
As I said, your man was found dead in the refugee camp. He was there to kidnap a woman, but the other refugees intervened to try and save her. The ensuing scuffle resulted in the man's accidental suicide. He sported the same tattoo as your men in this building. In fact, it also bears a resemblance to the one on your neck. Care to explain what business your man had with this woman?
You have no idea what you are talking about. I can assure you this was no kidnapping. The refugees in the camp are on edge. What happened there is a tragic accident, one I am not responsible for.
For what reason was your man there if not to abduct her?
Why would I answer? You are yet to justify your presence in the slightest. So many words, so little action. When you barged into my office, Mr. Holmes, I got the impression you wanted to talk business. Now I see you had come just to talk. Tell me exactly what you want, or get out.
It was necessary groundwork for what comes next. I have enough evidence to conclude that the gallery thief, the artist's killer, and the dead man in the camp are all the same person.
Your time is almost up, Mr. Holmes.
Before you draw your gun, there is one final detail I am yet to mention. The young woman your man was tasked to collect from the refugee camp had been defiled at a perverse masquerade party. That violation was captured in a photograph by Boniface Mercurio and used as a reference for his painting. The photo shows the attacker's face.
Finally. That's why you're here, Mr. Holmes. You have the photograph.
It is what your man was after when he broke into Mercurio's apartment, and it is what you're after too, isn't it, Mr. Bernadotti?
You have the photograph with you. How much do you want for it?
I am not naive enough to carry it with me, but I am yet to decide what I shall do with it. I know the man in the photo is a British envoy. What interest do you have in his downfall?
I must admit, I'm rather impressed by how comprehensively you have pursued this matter. And so, you deserve the honest answer. My business dealings are often arduous in their bureaucracy. A man in his position, willing to look the other way, could ease my work significantly. In return, I will make sure no one looks his way either. A favor for a favor.
Also known as blackmail, the modus operandi of any true professional.
It was not originally my idea. Mercurio set things in motion, extorting the envoy for the most trivial of ends. Money. In response, the envoy hired my man to retrieve the painting and the photograph, eliminating Mercurio's leverage. I only learned the whole story after the artist was killed in his home.
And rather than extricate yourself, instead you took over Mercurio's venture.
It fell into my lap. As a businessman, I simply seized the opportunity. Now, how much do you want for the image?
Why did you send your man to remove the woman from the camp?
Without a photograph, her testimony was the next best thing. Securing her was in everyone's interest. Victims and witnesses, all too often, disappear. I thought the girl was safer with us. I did not anticipate what would happen at the camp.
I could not help but appreciate the collection of smuggled artifacts in your storeroom. You have rather diversified your business.
Oh, high and mighty of you, Mr. Holmes. Not all smuggling is immoral. I pay generous rates to developing cultures and spread their culture to eager buyers. And furthermore, I supply many immigrants with a taste of home.
A very convenient way of thinking.
I have traveled wildly, Mr. Holmes. I've seen people in far-flung lands for whom my services are a lifeline. Without them, they would starve. The tax on cargo is often so absurd that it would be more profitable to simply sink your ship than dock it in the harbor. And trust me, I am speaking from experience.
I saw refugees from the camp at your warehouse. They work for you.
I have made certain arrangements with City Hall and the police. Thanks to me, refugees can work and be paid. It's a pathway to freedom.
And how much do you save by capitalizing on their cheap labor?
I have heard no complaints. They seem happy just to get out of that slum.
Why should I give you the photograph?
Just name your price.
What if my price were not money? You claim to have connections, Mr. Bernadotti. Perhaps you could improve conditions for the refugees. Give them a chance for a better life.
Ha! I do have connections, Mr. Holmes, but help the whole camp? You are asking too much. I could, however, make arrangements for one person. The woman who was violated will have her own home outside the camp, solely for her and her child. She will no longer be a refugee, but a princess. That I can guarantee.
Is that really possible?
It will be neither fast nor easy, but I can do it. She deserves it, don't you agree? And as for her abuser, he will serve me, as much as he deserves.
So in your plan, everybody will be given their due. Especially you, Mr. Bernadotti.
Seems like a fair deal, no? I doubt anyone could offer you better. Simply give me the photograph, and the world becomes a better place. I give you my word.
What makes you think you can decide what's best for these people?
Such is the arrogance of British imperialism. I take your point.
He said he did that to protect her, but she wasn't dragged out by her. She was dragged out, basically. And if you remember, he had a knife in his hand when he was dragging her out. She wasn't going by choice. I don't want to hear that bullshit, Mr. Bernadotti. Don't play with me. And you said the abuser will work for you. How was that much of justice? He should be in jail. The boy is despicable, and Bernadotti is trying to take advantage of the situation. Yes, he is. I cannot trust either of them, though. Only the truth will resolve matters. I must give the photograph to Vogel so he can make everything public. I don't want her. I haven't seen the photo. Well, we haven't seen the photo, obviously, but I don't want her being abused and that image being put out there, though. And Vogel's an idiot too. Oh.
I need some time to consider your offer, Mr. Bernadotte.
If you insist, Mr. Holmes. Come back when you're ready to give me the photograph.
Almost pressed the wrong button.
The door's now open, sir. You can leave through it. If you want, of course.
Thank you. She sees what I'm capable of.
Mr. Holmes, you've returned. Have you uncovered anything new about the theft?
I can't find this Thomas guy that's in the photo myself and arrest him myself. What's the point of this case? He was appointed as a British envoy in Cordonia with his own cabinet in the city hall. Oh. You son of a bitch. I'll kill you right now. Hold on, let me look around real quick. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, this little setup thing right here. It's a glow mixed with a little drink thing. I don't drink, but I'll get that. That's nice. That's nice. Son of a bitch. Come here.
If you're here on matters of signing up for military service, come back tomorrow. Our department needs to straighten out some business.
He has red eyes, didn't sleep last night, facial hair, no time to shave, odor of the bath, well worn and never removed. That's the bash thing that Nayla had drawn on the picture of his. Rumpled clothes, stays at work late. You know what he does late. Red stain, wine. The odor of the bath looks quite worn. The man is proud of it and never takes it off. The red stain on his wrist indicates that he recently drank wine. His clothes are wrinkled. He barely bothers to shave, and his red eyes indicate that he may suffer from insomnia or deep anxiety. It looks as if he lives within a nightmare, attempting to rid himself of his terrible memories of past mistakes. And he's in remorse. He's a party goer. Red wine stain on the wrist and his unshaven face indicate a lazy attitude towards his duty. The odor of the bath looks okay, blah, blah, blah. Wrinkled clothes and red eyes may mean that he didn't return home last night. Instead of work, this man would rather lose himself in depravity and alcohol.
Why are you staring at me like I'm a Madame Tussauds figure? Didn't you hear what I just said?
On my way here, I was wondering whether you might regret what you did. I tried my best to retain at least a shred of faith in humanity. I had hoped that you would hear her scream, see her face in your dreams, or at least once ask yourself how Nayla might feel.
Who?
Neither of my hopes were fulfilled.
Why are you here?
Ooh, I'm about to punch him. I'm about to punch him. They better give me the option again. Cause let me see.
I came to talk. I have a solid piece of evidence that proves you guilty of the violation of a young girl.
What kind of evidence? The silly painting? That's ridiculous. Rumors. Don't listen to a word of it.
I wouldn't call it solid if it were just a painting. I have a photograph that would be enough to cause a scandal at the very least, not to mention criminal consequences.
A photograph? Oh, so you've plucked up courage to finally come here. I won't pay you a single coin until I see the photograph for myself.
I'm not interested in money. I came here to hear your version of what took place. I'm not in the habit of making rash decisions.
Not in the habit? Well, it didn't seem like that from the letter you wrote.
I've never written a single word to you. That's not my style. I'm more direct. But in exchange for my patience, I demand your full cooperation. I need you to tell me everything.
Fine. I suppose now we have a nice long talk. Do you drink, Mr.
Sherlock Holmes? And I do not.
Shame. All the best discussions are accompanied by a glass of whiskey. But out of respect for you, I won't drink either.
Respect? That's an unusual word in your mouth, Mr.
Where are my manners? My name is Thomas Norton, a British envoy in Cordona on a military mission. So, where do we start?
Why did he even bring up the painting? It's not like it had his name on it, so why would you automatically assume that we're associating you with the devil in a painting? Okay. 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 I knew I should have punched him. Okay. They better give me the option again. Or I will replay this part and do it.
Boniface Mercurio, does the name mean anything to you?
He's an artist, right?
The one responsible for the painting that compromises you. I found him dead in his room.
Oh, that is bad. Wait, you don't think that I have anything to do with this?
You had motive to kill him.
Maybe I did, but listen. I know how this looks, but murder? That's on another level. I had thoughts that this Mercutio...
Mercurio?
Well, him, yes. I thought he could have been the blackmailer. But I was too afraid to make any hasty decisions. There were plenty of ways to fail by making a move, so I chose to wait. To see what he would do next. You have to believe me.
I don't believe people, I believe evidence.
Then look at the evidence.
The painting that depicted you in the image of the devil was stolen by a mercenary. Did you have anything to do with it?
I might be a rotten person, sir, but hiring criminals for illicit purposes is not in my daily schedule.
And buying the painting in an attempt to hide the crime, is that on your daily schedule?
What would you do in my situation?
I would never put myself in such a situation.
You're young. I could never have imagined myself in my current position, yet here I am in front of you. We all make mistakes, Mr. Holmes, and I'm no exception.
What you did wasn't a mistake. You know what?
You mentioned blackmail. Tell me about it.
All right. A couple of days ago, I received an anonymous letter. It said that in the art gallery at Caravansary there exists a painting that incriminates me. The blackmailer made it clear that if there is a painting, then a photograph exists too. And I should be wary of what it might do to my reputation.
What does the blackmailer want from you?
Money, of course. What else do such people want? Needless to say, I don't remember anyone taking photographs at the party. Up until the last moment, I hoped he was bluffing. But he wasn't, as you've just proven to me.
Show me the letter.
I burnt it as soon as I read it. I've left enough evidence. There's no need for any more.
So, let's return to the beginning. What happened at the party?
I vaguely remember that night. As usual at such parties, you meet people, you talk with them, they invite you to spend some time alone with them. What can I say? I got myself mixed up with the wrong company, and somebody must have mixed some psychoactive substance in my drink. After that, it's all blurry. I completely lost my sanity. I made a terrible mistake which I regret deeply.
You don't say. Do refugee girls often appear on the menu at those types of parties?
It's rather rare.
So you didn't attend the party to engage in an exotic experience involving a vulnerable woman unable to accuse you of assault?
I would never have planned such a terrible thing. What happened was just bad circumstance. Mr. Holmes, I've built my entire career on hard work and uncompromising dedication to the Crown. I made a mistake, but I'm not a villain from some cheap adventure fiction. By putting me behind bars, you will benefit precisely no one.
Rotting in prison is the least you deserve, but I have a better idea. You will make amends and help the ones you hurt. Naylor deserves the very utmost of what you can do.
Help the girl? I can't risk the press paying extra attention to her. I will do anything except that.
That's not all. Use your connections to help patriate the refugees, find them decent homes, give them jobs. There must be a meaning to your position and my decision.
Yes, all right, I can do that. So, will you give me the photograph now?
I need to think this all through. Don't do anything foolish in the meantime.
What makes you think you can decide what's best for these people?
Alright, so basically, apparently, for whatever reason, Sherlock dumbass won't have him arrested. So I have to choose who to give the photo to. So it's either Sherlock told him he has to help the refugees, help Nayla, and we'll give him the photo. But if we give him the photo, he could just burn it and remove any trace of what he did. If I give it to Vogel just gonna make a spectacle of it and then put that image all out there, and I don't want that to hurt Nayla. And then if we give it to what's his face, what? This is a stupid end result for a case. But anyways, I did all that. I played through the cutscene or whatever, but I replayed. Oh, son of a bitch! Hold on. Alright, anyways, like I was saying, I let the cutscene play out, and I loaded there's a hold on, an ambulance. But yeah, I let that play out, and then I went back to a previous load. I loaded a previous save, so I could do this real quick.
You defiled a girl who was with child. Don't even pretend that you regret what took place. Do you wonder why I came here? It is because I am disgusted with people like you, and the only way in my mind to rid the world of your ilk is to see you hanging from the gallows.
All right, all right. Is it about money, as you said in the letter? I have it, all right? There's no need for violence.
I've never written a single word to you. As you can see, I have a more direct approach.
That letter, it wasn't from you. So what do you want?
Answers, to start with.
Fine. I suppose now we have a nice long talk. Do you drink, Mr.
Sherlock Holmes? And I do not.
He should have punched a short temper. He should have punched him again, but alright. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. Alright, let me continue with the case. Alright, that was satisfying. Alright. I wasn't sure if I punched him, like immediately have like enemies coming over, and then I have to do like a fight or something. So that's why I didn't pick it the first time. But I feel good with doing that. I want to do it again, but I don't want to go through all that damn dialogue as well. So let me just continue with this damn case. Jeez. So real talk, when it comes to this game, if I'm stuck for too long, I'll just look up what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes, because I don't want to be sitting here trying to figure it out the whole damn day. So one thing I did look up, but yeah, with this type of game, it doesn't really have like a right or a wrong answer, I guess you could say. So if you look at articles about this, like a game like this, it wouldn't say, it would just give you the options of what you can choose as a final outcome, but it won't say if you were right or wrong necessarily. So with this case, I could pick what's his name, the violator, the rapist, and I could give him the photo, and apparently I guess he'll apparently keep his word, because this option is recommended, and he'll help the Nayla, her child, and the refugees. But if you pick what's his name, the crime lord, I forgot his name, Bernardotti. If you pick him, he'll just help Nayla and her child, but he wouldn't necessarily help the refugees. If you pick Vogel, nobody will pretty much be helped. It'll just have him, like I said, he'll just put the image out and that'll be it. And I don't think, even if he puts the image out, what's his name, Norton, won't necessarily be arrested anyway. So either way, it all depends on who you want to help the most, I guess you could say. But my thing is, if I go with Bernardotti and he helps the girl, if the girl is getting some money from Bernardotti and she's living in this nice house, she can always bring some of the refugees to her house with her. So that's the way I'm thinking, because I really do not want to give him Norton the photo. Even if he does help Nayla and the refugees, in real life, I wouldn't trust it. He'll just take the photo and burn it right away, unless we have copies, but I doubt we have copies. I don't know if copies, you can't make copies in what, 18, what year is this? 18 something, 1880 some. So I don't know. I only have Nayla in mind right now. I don't know what was in the photo, but I'm thinking for Neela and her baby. But yes, I do agree with this though. All refugees are victims of the system. Okay, yeah. See, then you'll give it to if you go for the refugees and Neela, then you have to go with giving him the photo. The British. Oh, him or yeah. Okay, he wants to secure him or what's his name? Vogel. The British envoy violated Neela, the refugee, during the party. Were the photograph of the crime to be released, it will ruin his career, or perhaps I could use that leverage to help the refugee camp. The envoy can be neither trusted nor forgiven for what he did. Humiliation and ostracization from an outraged Cordonia are the least he deserves. Here's the photo of the logo so he can make everything public. See, it doesn't clarify that the British envoy will go to jail for what he did. Like, why is that not even an option? That's just stupid. Give the envoy the photograph in exchange for the refugees' legalization. But then again, he'll probably see her as his property, and he'll probably be mean to Neela as well. But let's say not, and let's just say Neela, she'll have protection because of him and his boys, and she's black, so she could live a good life, her and her child, and she could help the other refugees with her princess status, as he would say. So give Bernadette the evidence to blackmail the envoy. Blackmail that motherfucker. Come on. I'm sorry. I'm petty. I'm okay. Either way, you should at least wait till they do what they say they're gonna do to give them the photo. Why are you giving them the photo outright? Sherlock, you are an idiot. Sometimes. Jeez. Idiot. Stupid.
If I give you the photograph, how do I know you will not come after me?
Mr. Holmes, you are not a threat. The local authorities owe me favors. For all your confidence, you cannot actually harm me. Besides, I like you and your approach to business. We are not dissimilar. Pragmatists to a fault.
Indeed, I cannot ignore the just outcomes in what you have proposed. All right, take the photograph.
You are a hard man to read, Mr. Holmes. I couldn't tell if you actually had it. Fear not. This decision will bear its fruits soon enough. One more thing, Mr. Holmes. Now that I have the photo, you may as well take Mr. Mercurio's painting back to the gallery. Please, send my apologies.
I just teleported me here, okay? Thank you for that.
Mr. Holmes, you've returned. Have you uncovered anything new about the theft?
I've brought news, but not all of it will please you.
Fill me in, Mr. Holmes. I won't shoot the messenger.
I tracked down Boniface Mercurio.
I presume he wasn't delighted about the situation?
He was not having a good day on account of his murder. Killed in his own flat by the same person that stole his painting.
Oh, sweet Mercurio. Perishing in the pursuit of his art. How apt. I will miss his exceptional sense of humor.
I located the thief, but found him rather cold. He was tight-lipped about the painting, too.
Ah, he's dead. How very droll, Mr. Holmes. One presumes you were not responsible.
It was an accident at the refugee camp. He impaled himself on his own knife.
Life is nothing if not cruel and capricious. What about the stolen painting? Have you located it?
Yes, it's here.
Splendid. I'm most grateful, Mr. Holmes. It must have been a difficult task. Will you share your adventures with me?
I cannot, Mr. Vogel. The story is much like your undergallery. Not for everyone's eyes and ears.
So sometimes you do hide the truth? What has happened to your crusade?
I'm not on a crusade. I simply do not owe you the story.
It was not an attack, Mr. Holmes. If you've chosen to keep secrets, I'll respect it. Besides, the truth is often more boring than the mystery. No?
It is what it is, Mr. Vogel.
Well, now that we've resolved all of our outstanding matters, I have a gift for you. I took the liberty of having it delivered to Stonewood Manor. I am told it belonged to your mother.
Previously, you mentioned there may have been more to my mother's passing than consumption. It appears you were right.
Oh dear. I'd hoped to be wrong.
She was unstable, mentally unwell. She required sustained, specialized treatment, but her madness persisted.
I knew that Violet had disappeared from the public eye, but had no idea of her suffering. I cannot imagine what you're feeling.
I'm fine. And what exactly have you sent me?
Frankly, I'm not sure how to answer that. I trust you'll know.
Thank you, Mr. Vogel. I am curious to see what you have procured.
Alright, another case completed. Alright, so I'm probably just gonna stop and just do some editing, and hopefully it's not 2 hours like the last damn video, which is, you know, being uploaded right now. I still haven't even posted the first part of this, but it should be up. I don't know. Today's the 25th, so maybe the 20. I'm trying to wait until at least part 2 is close to being uploaded, so I could do it like close to like almost back to back. So I don't know, we'll see, but whatever. But that's another case done. I'll try to record tomorrow. I have to work tomorrow, so today that is the end of my detectiveness for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in whatever case they have us go through. Hopefully we'll be as stupid of an outcome as this one, but okay. Alright, bye.